I just had a midterm exam, and we were just talking when we just heard gunshots
God.
coming and group of violent people coming toward us, and they attacked us. They ambushed us. They came with bats, with guns, with knives, with rocks, whatever. Yes, whatever they could get their hands on, and they beat us down. um, I got beaten into in my head so much, that I just fell down and hit the cement. And everybody else, I am so little, everybody else was on top of me. And at the moment that I thought that I wouldn't even survive, I would just, suffocate without breath, without air.
Welcome to Hot Mess Magic, your safe space to embrace the messy and imperfect side of life. I'm your host, Michelle Burr, international best-selling author, speaker, and personal growth guide, and I believe that each and every one of us is a hot mess, whether we want to admit it or not, and that in this world of filters and facades, it's time to let them all crumble. So join me as we dive deep into the messy, hilarious, and sometimes heartbreaking moments we all experience. Together, we'll explore the reasons behind our mishaps, gain valuable insights, and learn how to navigate life's challenges with grace, resiliency, and even a little humor. We'll share stories and learn from experts and build a community of listeners who understand the ups and downs of life. So hit that subscribe button and leave a rating and review, and let's dive into this hot mess together. Remember, the mess is where the magic happens. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Hot Mess Magic Show. Today's guest is Soodabeh, and I am going to let her introduce herself because her story, her journey that she has gone through within her life, starting at such a young age, is so powerful that I know I'm not going to be able to do it justice. So, Soodabeh, it's all you.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for giving me the opportunity to share my story. And we all have a
Yes.
stories, right? Life happens, and it's not always easy. It's messy. It's complicated. But I believe that everything that happens in life, it really is a vehicle, is a catalyst to get us to acknowledge who we are as these powerful souls that we come to earth so we can learn, grow, and evolve. And it's just like going to school,
Yeah.
learning lesson. And for me, in the process of everything that I experience, and for those people that have heard my story and read my books, they always say, "Oh my God, you live 10 lives in one."
Easily.
And yes, it is
Easily, if not
right.
more.
And we all experience this, and it depends on when we decide, make that conscious decision to say enough is enough. I am gonna take charge of my life, because I believe in myself, because I am worthy, because I'm deserving, and I want to create the life that I want and desire. I wanted to start by that because I want people to know that whatever the situation is, we don't know
Exactly.
why, right? Sometimes we don't know why, we don't know the reason. But, and then we become, as we experience and go through life, we just start by asking why, as being a victim mentality part, like why this happened to me. And I was there, and there are times that my mind tricked me and I go into that victim mentality. Then I say, no, you want to come back, thank you, we are not there, we are here. And then we have to let our mind know that we are safe, we are protected. And we will talk about those um, ideas and the tips that how to get our body to a place that feeling safe and protected and loved and all of that. My life changed about 34 years ago when I hit rock bottom. I literally lost everything that I had, and my marriage ended. I was left alone with two young kids in a different country. I didn't know how to speak English. I didn't have money. I didn't have family and friends. And it was so traumatic for me that I decided life was not worth living anymore. And even I had kids, I thought, well, my kids have their father, they have their aunt and cousins and everything. They don't need me. So I want to just check out. And of course, that, if I am sitting here 34 years later, I am still breathing. I am glad that I am breathing and I am here so I can share the story and help people that they are stuck in that place that they don't see any hope. I by trade, I am a registered nurse. I have been a nurse for over 40 years. And I also am holistic wellness coach. I utilize a lot of modalities working with my patients and also working with my clients, such as Reiki, energy healing, aromatherapy, and I'm also certified hypnotherapist, Reiki master. All of these modalities, the reason that I utilize them in for myself when I am working with my patients or when I'm working with my clients is because those tools, each one of them, all of them, at some point help me to get myself out of this state of darkness, out of the place that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know which direction to go. I was literally sick physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's just there is a place that the darkness of the soul, and we just need something to get us out of it. And that is the reason behind what I do today. I wrote books and I speak because I want to help people to see that this is not the end of the world. There is hope. And if she did it, I can do it as well. So this is a little bit of an introduction.
So many of us, when we're in those dark moments, yes, for some people, the thought of suicide does cross our minds.
Mhm.
And there are so many people that oh, the thought comes to their mind and they do take action. And then there are those that thought comes to their mind and we have this moment of I can't, or this moment of something stops you. Oh, and with the tools that you're using, the modalities that you're using, each one of those brings you closer to self. And that's what you were experiencing. You were having this new relationship with yourself forming.
Yes, absolutely. It's just like growing up, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I was beautiful enough. All those, I call them the
Yes.
enoughness that we
Yes. I
always
like I
think
like to
like,
refer to it as the inner mean girl.
mm-hmm, yes. And those happen because our brain is like a sponge before the age
Mm-hmm.
of 7, and we watch our family. We are constantly observing, we're constantly collecting information, and all of that becomes everything that we see, it becomes a belief.
Mhm.
Everything thing that we perceive about ourselves, or we hear from our parents, from our friends and family, it becomes uh, our belief system, and we believe it, even if it is not. If you have somebody else look at us and see us as somebody completely different, and we lose who we
Yes.
truly are, because we are
Yes,
powerful
we are.
souls. We can create and manifest everything we want. But when growing up and before the age of 7, everything that we collect in that beautiful brain of ours, it stays and tells us who we are growing up as an adult.
Yeah, and that's why those, formative years are so important. But one of the things that we're learning is the neuroplasticity of our brains and how, we can transform our brains, and we can take those things that were conditioned in us, let's say at the age of 5, and we can shift that now.
Yes, correct. And that's why I love hypnosis so much, because it just goes into the root cause, the subconscious programming, and literally changes it. And that was how I was able to get help and work with coaches that utilize hypnosis, and it literally helped me to shift. It doesn't happen, it's not like a
Hmm.
magic one overnight, or one session, for example. It literally, but it just opens the door to change the way we uh, view the world around us. And from this, then I am always aware of where my mind is, what thoughts comes to my mind. And because I experienced a lot of trauma growing up, and every, sometimes even at night, I may have a dream that when I wake up, I am not quite aware or remember what that dream was, but I know that I wake up with a bad mood, in a bad mood, I should say. And I'm like, and the thoughts that coming is just like, oh, okay, thank you, mind. Instead of going into resistance and duality, and criticizing myself for why am I having that thought, why am I criticizing myself, why am I judging myself, or whatever that thought is, I am saying, okay, thank you, mind, for bringing it to my attention, that there is something, some part of me that it is coming to surface, so it can be processed and healed. And that is the most important thing that we can do, instead of judging ourselves for feeling bad, for feeling those emotions or experiencing it, is just say, okay, this is where I am. How can I shift it? How can I change it?
It's, taking having those dreams, taking it from the unconscious mind, like you said, to the conscious mind, where one of the things that I tell people all the time is acknowledge what you're not acknowledging. And they're like, huh, I
Mhm.
don't get it. I was like, exactly. What aren't you acknowledging? What are you kind of repressing? Pushing under the rug, sticking in the back of the closet, because that's what needs to come to the forefront. And we can't heal it if it's buried in the back of the closet. It needs to come to the front, it needs to come to the surface so we can acknowledge it, so we can say, hey, I see you. Um, I might not be fond of you, but I see you, and let's move forward.
Yes, definitely. That is how awareness is crucial. And awareness, like, okay, thank you. Sometimes I feel like I get emotional, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
the triggers when somebody says something and we get triggered, and like we get into like fight and
Yep.
flight mode, and we become so defensive. It does happen.
It's
It
human
it
nature.
always happens that yes, is a human nature. And then we need to just take a moment, pause, take a deep breath, walk away from the situation, before we say something that we regret
Exactly.
later.
And it's also like you said, it's also being mindful of how we react in those situations. I can
Hmm.
remember when I was
Hmm.
teaching, a student had called me over. He was doing something on the computer and it wasn't working right. And I'm sitting there and I couldn't figure it out. And all of a sudden I started laughing. And he looked at me and he's like, Miss B, why are you laughing right now? Like, I've got two choices right now. I'm like, I can't figure this out. You can't figure this out. I can either sit here and get all frustrated, aggravated, annoyed, or I can laugh at the fact that neither one of us can figure this out. Neither way, it's going to change the situation right now. So I'm laughing at myself that I can't figure this out because it's something that's going to be so simple. And sure enough, we called the IT guy in. He sat down, went bump, bump, bump. And the two of us were laughing even harder because he's like, Miss B, you were right. That was so simple. Why didn't we think of that? I was like, because we thought it was this some complex thing, which is why I'm sitting here laughing at myself. It's like when we can laugh at ourselves, it just it just shows the relationship that we have with ourselves. And that's where, even in those messy moments, being able to,
Yes.
you know, express the gratitude for them as we're going through them and sometimes even laugh at them. It's like, okay, yeah, this sucks right now, but like I'm rolling with it.
Most definitely. Definitely.
Oh, so one of the things that we had discussed, we'd gotten a little in depth into your story and your book. Can you share a little bit more about your book with the audience?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Um, growing up, as I said, I didn't feel good enough or smart enough or whatever the enoughness was. And then when I was 13 years old, I lost my father. And he had a heart attack and a couple of days in a hospital and he was gone. I had great relationship with my father. I felt like he was my hero, my
Mm-hmm.
protector. I would feel safe with him. He would listen to me. He was my teacher. And losing my father, it was the beginning of a long journey with depression for me. So that is how my journey with depression and started at age 13. I was the oldest of four kids, and my mom was a teacher. She had to work two jobs, and I became the caregiver, taking care of my brothers and going to school, and everything changed from that moment on. When I was 18 years old, because I grew up in Iran. The revolution took place in Iran, and the new government came. They were radical religious group that came, and they wanted to take everybody's right away, specifically women's right away. And I was a nursing student. 1 year later, I was 19 years old, and the government decided that they wanted to close all the colleges and universities all over the country because they knew, well, first, that if you took the education away from people, then they cannot think for themselves. And that was their mission. And also, Iran was known as a country that education was very important, because there are places that people think about money. That is important. If you have more money, you are more important. In Iran, was like, if you are educated, that means that you're more important, for example. I was 19 years old, and everyone, nursing student, all the students, the professors, the teachers, they decided that one day, all over the country, in each city, we just go to the one of the main larger university in each city and protest, peaceful protest, to show the government that they cannot just
Yeah.
close all the
Yeah.
colleges and university, because their um, mission was to expel all, whether they are students or teachers or professors, that they are going to expel them. Do not let them to go unless you only can go to school or be a teacher, and that if you are following that specific religious
And that's just
ideology.
crazy.
Yes. So I was with a couple of my classmates, with my friends. We were just talking. I just had a midterm exam, and we were just talking when we just heard
Oh my
gunshots
God.
coming, and a group of violent people coming toward us, and they attacked us. They ambushed us. They came with bats, with guns, with knives, with rocks, or whatever. Yes, whatever they could get their hands on, and they beat us down. Um, I got beaten into in my head so much, that I just fell down and hit the cement. And everybody else, I am so little, everybody else was on top of me. And at the moment that I thought that I wouldn't even survive, I would just, suffocate without breath, without air. So, few minutes later, or however, because you
No
don't,
concept. Yeah,
time
no concept
stops.
of
You
time.
don't.
Exactly.
And they got everybody, and they pointing their guns at us, and they shoved us in the back of a big truck and took us to a holding space, size of a basketball place. So there was no window, and nobody could hear us, nobody could see us, and I was just looking at everything and trying to process things, that my mom and nobody knows where I am, what is going to happen to me. And I felt like, the throbbing of the pain, the headache, and felt dizzy, and I just fainted, and I was in coma for about a week. uh, yeah, I woke up in a hospital not knowing what had happened to me. I later on, my mom came, and they told me that I was gone, and they didn't know where I was for almost a week. And, they looked, and they found me. And I mean, imagine, like, already experiencing
Yes.
depression and experiencing that trauma as a teenager. I was 19 years old. uh, that was very difficult for me, but I didn't know how to process it. My mom didn't know how to
It's
process it.
something that you've never experienced before. It's something that most people don't go through within their life. So yeah, you don't know how to process it. It's not as if you can turn to someone who's experienced it before.
Absolutely, it was like, okay, and we couldn't go like, okay, let me go, take you to a hospital, for
Exactly. Or let me go take
example,
you to a
or take
therapist,
you
like
to a
see a
doctor.
therapist, or a psychologist or psychiatrist, something of that nature.
Yes, and because one, the most important part of it, that you didn't want to go to somebody because it was
Yes.
danger. It was dangerous that I was there to begin with. So I just try to understand or process things on my own and go through life. I got married. My husband was an activist. I got pregnant with my son. My son was 4.5 year old. I'm just going rushing through this story
Yes.
because it's a long story. And that's
Yes.
why I wrote books about it. So, and I was 7 months pregnant when my husband came home one night and said, um, I think my life in danger. And I talked to my family, his family, And I believe that they think that I need to escape the country. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
lovely. Like, and he said, so what are you going to do? Like, what do you think
Exactly.
I am going to be? We have a 4.5-year-old son. I'm 7 months pregnant. So we sold everything we owned, and I had to go back and live with my mom, who was not happy because she thought that everything was just crazy and everything I did was crazy. Anyway, I stayed there. He escaped with the promise that coming to join his brother and sister in America, and he would petition for us when once he gets here, and I can come join my husband eventually. We had no idea how long it's gonna take. So I was there. I was a nurse then. I was working 15 days in a row, one day off, 15 days in a row, because I was the only person that uh, um, supporting my
Exactly.
family because he couldn't do that. So, make the longest story short, 3 years and nothing, no news about when I can join him. And my brother, who was about a year younger than me, and he was married, they had a 4.5-year-old son. His wife was pregnant. Exactly the same situation, parallel situation, 3 years before that when
Hmm.
my husband left me. And he said, let me go get my passport. I can take you to American Embassy in Turkey, and maybe they can feel sorry for you and let you to go join
Hmm.
your husband. And he died in a car accident.
Terrific. Everything that you had been through, here your brother is trying to help you, and
Mhm.
how he dies in the process.
Yes. And thinking about the shame and the guilt and the anger and all kind of emotions that I was feeling, that why he had to die, why couldn't I die, why my life is being saved over and over again. We experienced 8 years of war. I was working as a nurse in a hospital. I mean, why I am still alive and he's gone. He had a good life, I didn't have anything. So my husband heard that in less than a month or so. He decided to um, find a solution and get me to go with the kids to Turkey, to stay with one of his friends and come to America. And when I came here, I realized that my family was right, because my family was saying, he already has a different life. He doesn't want you. He doesn't want the kids. And when I came here, I realized that they were right. He already had a life, and he didn't want me. He didn't love me. He didn't want the kid. And there I was, lost, and didn't know how am I gonna
Exactly,
live?
especially because now you're in
And
a different country where you don't know a single soul. You have two young children.
mhm, mhm, yeah, and that's when I decided that life wasn't worthy of living anymore. And then again, my life was saved by some miraculous divine intervention of some sort, whatever that we can call it. And then I decided, like, okay, I am not, I'm not able to check out. So what is the lesson here? How can I help myself? How can I help my children? Because I have to take care of them. And then I decided to go to school, learn the language, go back to school, become a nurse. And when I had my everything, raise the kids, I had brand new car, brand new house, working 2 jobs and taking care of everything, and then I felt empty inside.
Yeah,
People think that if I had this much money, I would be happy. If I had home or whatever, then it was the time that I like, what is my purpose? where did I come from? Where am I going? And that was the beginning of the my spiritual awakening, you can say it, to figure out why my life was saved over and over again, and what am I going to do? How can I move forward? And then I realized that there was a purpose. Everything that I experienced wanted to push me out of where that limiting beliefs, all those limiting beliefs about not being good enough. And then I learned, read a lot of books, attended lots of workshops, hired coaches so I can get the help. And then as I was learning, I didn't hire coaches because I thought I'm going to write a book. I didn't do it because I would be sitting here with you, Michelle, and talking about this story. I just was so broken inside that I needed to get some relief from all the trauma and the feeling and the emotions, and that I just
Yeah,
needed
you need,
relief.
like I
And
said before, you needed to release it. It had been shoved in the back of the closet, and it needed
mhm,
all to come to the surface to be transformed, transmuted into something that would serve you. And that's exactly what you've done. You've taken this journey of survivorship, is the way that I see it, and resiliency and, strength where, just when you want to give up, just when you think that you've hit rock bottom, something else, hits you, comes along and hits you again, but you persevered. And that's one of the things that I just love about your story, is that you had the resiliency to persevere and to keep going forward, not understanding or knowing why, not making sense of it, but just deep within, there was this inner knowing that you were meant for more, that you were meant to help others, as they're going through, difficult times within their own lives. And I feel that that's something we have to remind ourselves of, is, maybe we're going through this low point in life, or having this struggle, or having this awful thing happen to us, to turn that mess into a message, to help others with it on their journey, to be that light, for others. And that's, what you are. You are this beacon of light, where that light has just not even fully begun to shine. It's so much brighter than it currently is. And I can't wait to see, how much brighter you get on this journey.
thank you so much, Michelle. You're so sweet.
I just find your story so powerful and so moving, because, you look at where you came from, from a foreign country that was a war-torn country at that time, that you survived aspects of that war, and you came to America to form a new life, only to have what you thought was going to be this amazing, magical life here in the United States when you arrived be, a totally unexpected, slap in the face.
Yeah, pretty
Pretty
much.
much like this slap in the face, like, oh, okay, not what I was expecting when I got here. Because even though everyone was telling you it, your brain didn't want to believe it. You didn't want to
Mhm.
accept it. You didn't want to acknowledge it. And that's where, when we acknowledge what we're not acknowledging, we start to see the truth in things. We start to see the things that other people aren't seeing. So other people are seeing that we're not seeing, I should say.
Mhm.
And that's where, you know, like I said, you're just this beacon. I see you just as this beacon of light. And as this beacon of light, how can people get in touch with you?
Yes, thank you. Both of my books are on Amazon. My first book is Angel Nightingale, that not only it has a story of my life and how I got through it in more detail, but also has beautiful, heartwarming stories of how I worked with my patients and some of my clients. Some of my patients that transition to the spirit world, and how their stories are, really touching. My second book is called Emerging You, and that is also a lot of the stories of my patients and my clients, but also it is literally gives the reader a lot of tools that you are on the crossroad, which what to do and what is it that you need to do so you can see the light at the end of tunnel step by step. I also have my website and all the social media, and they are all my name, Soodabeh Mokry. So my website is soodabehmokry.com. And when they go to my website, I am offering two free meditation that they can download. One of them is for relaxation and healing, and the other one is for manifesting abundance, because I believe that we all are capable of manifesting abundance, any form of love, abundance of love, joy, wealth, health. So I would like for people to be able to download those and see what comes as a result of them. And then there are also lots of courses. I have membership that I can work with people. So anything that they want, they can go to my website or Facebook or TikTok or YouTube or Instagram. They can find me.
All of the links to your book and how to get in touch with you, your website, all the social medias will be all in the show notes. If someone is going through a low point in life right now, what is the one tool, the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Just believe in yourself. Believe there is a purpose for your life. The belief that there is hope. And one thing that we do, I do
Mm-hmm.
it, I did it, is we think that we are alone,
Yes.
but we are not. We have friends, hopefully you are surrounded
Yes.
by good friends or family members that they are supportive. If not, there are a lot of we are right now is the best time that there are lots of tools on YouTube, on lots of tools on social media,
Yes.
the good
Yes.
tools, not the one that the people say where I am and how much money I make and all
Exactly.
of
No,
those.
I know exactly. The meditations, the journal prompts,
Mhm.
the
Yes.
podcast. Yes, there is so much information and so many tools that are out there these days. You're absolutely correct.
Yes, just there, and there are lots of them. They are for free, because I understand, when somebody is somewhere that they cannot even afford to go, hire a coach. They
Mm-hmm.
cannot afford to go hire work with a therapist, and they are just like that. It feels like they are victim and being just, under all the carrying all the weight of the world, carrying, especially for right now that there is
Yes.
chaos everywhere that you look. Is just one thing is to do for ourselves is just believe that there is a solution no matter where you are, and search Google and see if there is somebody saying something, if there is a meditation, if there is whatever that can help you to go from this moment to the next one. Because that moment, once we go to the next moment, the one that we were in is just gone. The past is
Exactly.
gone. And we focus on the fear about the future, but future is not here. So just get yourself out of that situation, out of that moment that you are being bombarded with the mind that says there is no hope, with the feeling that that is not positive. Just get yourself out of there and believe that there is a solution.
I wholeheartedly agree. There's always a solution. We might not know it at the time. We might not see it. It's sometimes not even ours to figure out, but everything will fall in place in that highest divine order, um, so that you can then live to share it, live to talk about it.
Completely.
So,
Yes.
but it was an honor to have you on the show today. Do you have any last final words?
Just believe in yourself, believe in your dreams. Even at the um, darkest time in our life, we always have hope. We have dream, like, I wish I didn't have this. And when you go from I wish I didn't have this, change that wording and say, what is it that you want
Yeah,
to, and then focus on creating what that you want, rather than focusing on what it's the
it,
lack of. So once we do that, we focus on what we want. And when the mind comes and talk about lack, I say, thank you, but I have a focus, I have a dream, and I'm going to get myself
yes,
out of
I
that.
love it. It's acknowledging, like, yes, we're gonna have those doubts, those fears, those insecurities creep in, but it's having that belief as well, acknowledging that fear, saying, "Hey, I see you. Thanks for making yourself known. But I'm safe. I've got this, and I'm gonna move forward." So yes, I'm totally on board with what you're saying right now. So, but again, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today, and that concludes another episode of the Hot Mess Magic Show. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Michelle.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of Hot Mess Magic. Remember, the mess is where the magic happens, so embrace your inner hot mess and keep shining bright. Until next time, keep laughing, keep learning, and keep discovering the magic in your mess. Be sure to subscribe to Hot Mess Magic for more episodes, leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform, and share this episode with a friend who needs a little hot mess magic in their life. Until next time.
For those of you who dream of a world where music and podcasts live together in perfect harmony, now, for the first time, Electricast gives you a magical compilation, Pod Till You Drop, Volume 1, where we give you the best in tunes and the best in podcasts. Feast your ears and hear the culture. Available now wherever you listen to music.
Everyone has heard about the U.S. space program, but what is actually going on at NASA? Get the real story in 4 minutes or less with the NASA Daily podcast from Electricast. Join astronauts and researchers as they conduct groundbreaking experiments, work on the International Space Station, and reach for the stars. NASA Daily, your cosmic update.
Electricast. Electricast.